Hello and welcome, Trudy here, and I'm looking forward to sharing with you how to use these financial goal worksheets to plan whether it's your 2022 year or 5 years or whatever it might be. So now you may have already used our self-reflection worksheets. If you haven't, I'll pop them in the list below, a link there so you can go and grab them. But if you already downloaded this particular worksheet, if you just scroll over to the next page, you'll notice here that I've actually got a link. If you click that link, it'll take you straight through to the self-reflection worksheets. Now, for those that may not have done the self-reflection worksheets yet, I talk a little bit about my 6 series podcast, and in that podcast I guess in some ways lay down my 20 years experience involved in behavioural and business psychology, and talk about what I believe to be the foundations of personal growth and development. One of them is self-reflection, and further on it's about constant evaluation, assessment and review of your progress as part of goal setting. So there's obviously some mindset stuff in there as well. So if you want to go and grab that, you can click the links here. Also in the link down the bottom here, if you follow my little finger point there, there's a link there that takes you to all of our 20 plus free resources I've got on my website. So feel free to have a look at that. Now you can either download this and print it up, or you can type straight into it, or if you don't want to use the worksheets at all, you can grab a notepad and pen. Now just keep in mind, this is not going to be a comprehensive training or anything like that. It's really just a guide to show you how to use the worksheets, but I do also want to share a little bit with you about just in my experience some of the key things to look for when you're actually doing some of your financial planning. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to increase the size here just so that it's bigger for you to be able to see on the screen. Now there is a worksheet in there, you don't have to fill it in, but one of the things I do find that is that when you do some self-reflection, you may identify some particular behaviours, habits, patterns that seem to be happening over and over again. It might even be particular dialogue. You might be saying to people, it's really hard running a business, or no one's spending money, or there might be some limitations out there, in here. And so what I suggest you do is start to really identify any external dialogue, what maybe things that you say to other people, and even internal thoughts that you're having, and maybe do some work on that, whether it's with some subconscious programs, looking at that, or even just choosing to have a really good list of actions or behaviours or habits or routines, rituals, a list, a plan of what you're going to follow, and work towards being the person and having the habits and behaviours and characteristics of that person that is doing what you want to be doing, what you want to be achieving, rather than getting caught up in the limitations. Now sometimes, through conscious choice, you can override some of these programs, but it is a continual thing. You've got neural pathways that have been firing some of the limitations for a long time. For some of you, it might be even as a child. You were told that you couldn't do things properly, and so it may be something that needs some conscious work. However, trust me, there is a lot of there are so many times when I've run a therapy clinic or coaching where I've been able to just get people on a path of actually just some repetitive activities and creating some new beliefs, some new stories, some new narratives, which in essence basically helps you achieve your goals and dreams, rather than self-sabotage, procrastination, perfectionism, imposter syndrome, all of these other things that sometimes override your genius. Because no matter where you're at, no matter what your education is, where you're at, you are a genius in some way, in something. You may not yet have actually identified that. So when you get a chance, you can go and grab, I've got a limiting beliefs free worksheet, I've got a What is your fear worksheet? Go and grab the sheets and listen to the podcast, and that'll help you out. And then you might be, interested in basically letting go of some of the old patterns that you're aware of. Maybe you get distracted easily. You might want to let go of distractions. You might want to introduce some better time management skills. I've got lots of different little checklists and to-do lists, and I love what I do lists, and I've got a timer, so I work in short spurts. So there's lots of little things that you could do that you may initially want to let go of something that is not serving you and introduce a better routine, a better habit, a better behaviour or skill set that will actually help you to succeed more effectively, quicker, and again, long-term results, not sort of quick fixes. Now, with this piece of paper here, the let go piece of paper, you can just type straight into it. I let go of whatever it might be, and then once you've filled all the boxes, you can, maybe if you print it up, you can burn it. If you've got it on your computer, you can just delete it. Do whatever you want to do. Some people just find something symbolic also helps. So at the moment, I just want to take you through a little look at what aspects of this financial goal worksheet are here for you to be able to complete. Now, this is just a sample that I've put up. So in your financial goal for 2022, we'll just focus on this 1 year for now. You can write the amount that you want to earn, and then you just type it in, and then what you do is I want you then to get a bit clearer about how you're going to earn it. So for some people it might be products, some people it might be services, some people it might be investments, partnerships, affiliates. They're the items that I actually will be filling in, or I've already filled in a paper-based one. I actually must say I do love filling something in on the computer, but I much prefer writing it with a pen, a really nice smooth pen. So this might be it might be your work. You might have a job, but also have a business on the side. So you might have an amount here of the type of a job that you might be. This comes from your career, and this might come from your business. So just list out just a overarching heading. You don't have to go into too much detail here if you don't want to. If you want to get a bit clearer, you can list your products or your services or your whatever you've got in there. And I just want to give you a little bit of an example. Over the last 20 or so years, I've been involved in business development. I've ran some workshops, many workshops actually for the government, whereas I was invited in to run some workshops to teach people about communication, sales, business psychology. And during those workshops, we identified that a lot of people that had gone from being an employee to now a sole trader or an employer that actually started their own business and it was up and running, that they sometimes didn't necessarily always stop and plan out their business before they left their job. And so sometimes people were left struggling, leaving a career where they were earning a weekly salary or a fortnightly salary, and then all of a sudden becoming a sole trader, and they hadn't had enough savings put aside until they got themselves on their feet. So what happened was I actually then started running business development and coaching for people that were about to get into business. And now this gentleman came to me, he already had a business coach, and he'd already had invested money in his business. So when he arrived to me, I didn't know that. He came to me and he told me that he needed some help with his business. So my first thing was to say, well, before you spend any money on anything, let's sit down and just do a very basic calculation. It's a really simple calculation. It'll take about 5 or 6 minutes. And I said, so you obviously would have done this because you know how much money you want to earn. And he said, well, Trudy, first of all, before we start, I've got a business coach, and I've already employed someone to do all my marketing. And I said, okay, so that's great. So show me what you're doing. I was really surprised. Because it was very basically in his head. There was a lot of information in there. Now, I'm not saying that things have to always be written down, but after a couple of minutes, I managed to find out that he'd invested a lot of money in a business coach and a lot of money in someone to start marketing his product. But after looking at his calculations, which we did together, he started to realise that he'd sort of jumped the gun a bit. He'd gotten really excited about getting out of having worked for someone else. He'd worked for someone else for 30 years. He was in engineering. He wanted to get out. He was prepared to take a significant cut in his salary. I think he was earning about $140,000, and he was prepared to drop it down to $100,000 gross, not net, gross. And but he'd already invested a significant amount of money in this business, with the assumption that he was going to make $100,000 gross. Now, he hadn't started working with his business coach yet. He'd come to me via referral from a government agency. So I sat down with him. I've got my calculator out here. I've got a calculator here. So I said, okay, so you want to earn $100,000 gross. We'll just make it really simple. It doesn't matter why or how he wants to, why that's a number he came up with. And so I said to him, what are you going to do? And he said, well, I do a particular sort of technique. It's not massage, it's not remedial massage. It's sort of like a little bit higher level than a remedial massage, and I charge $90 an hour. Okay, so I said, okay, right. And how many hours do you want to work a week? And he said, I don't really want to work more than 20 hours a week because I've got other things that I want to be doing instead. So I did a basic calculation. I'm going to give you the summary of what we talked about. There was a little bit more that we talked about in between. So he wanted to work 40 weeks a year, he told me, and he only wanted to do 20 hours a week. So we worked out that it was $72,000 that he could earn if he did 20 hours a week of massage at $90, okay? So in a week he would earn $1,800 gross, remember? And over 40 weeks of the year he would have $72,000. So he said, oh, that's a bit of a shortfall. I said, no, we haven't even gotten started in the shortfall. Now, I'm an optimist. I really am. I'm an optimist. But I'm also about being real about what you're going to do, what you're capable of, and what your service, how niche it is in you being able to have a certain amount of people using your service. Now, in his case, it was a physical thing. It was a face-to-face thing. It's not like minor online products and minor separate small amounts of coaching, predominantly done online, done via Skype or Zoom. I don't have to have anyone here physically in front of me. So I can be a bit more global, whereas he was a little bit more local. So I explained to him that in order for him to even meet the 72,000 goal, which was not the 100,000, he would need to be able to confirm that he could book in 20 people every week for 40 weeks of the year. Now, as I said, I'm an optimist. I'm not saying that it's not possible. I know a lot of places, I know a lot of physios and chiropractors, even around where I am right now, that are booked solid every week. So I know they are. But I don't know enough about his product or service. I wasn't involved in any market research. I don't know if there's got a competitive advantage to people around him. Is he mobile? Is he not? I don't know any of the ins and outs of his business. But we started talking about ways that he could supplement the 72,000 and maybe offer, basically maybe some products, might be some sort of health and wellness product that goes with it, so that would bump up some sales. Or would he be willing to do some group talks maybe on strength training or pain management or something like that? I mean, I've been running a business off and on since I was 16 years old, so my brain is always thinking of ways that he could expand his current product and services into his business. So I could come up with lots of ideas, but I was still a little bit concerned about whether he would be able to have confirmed 20 people per week for 40 weeks of the year. Now, I know there are a lot of people out there that are marketing geniuses, but again, I don't know his market in the area that he was living in. I wasn't sure if he was going to be able to do that. So for me, it was, in this case, he wanted to sign me on as a business coach, but I was not doing business coaching at the time. I was really just running groups for the government. And so he had a business coach, and I suggested that he go back to that business coach and say, well, how can I expand this? And is there something else that I need to change about my business product, service, collaborations, partnerships, Am I involved in, say, for instance, a partnership with a couple of gymnasiums that just refer their clients to me, but in return I do some little group sessions at a discounted rate or something? Look, again, the ideas are endless. But this was a perfect example about how he had jumped the gun. He had already invested a significant amount of money. And when we started talking about the project, the actual business, because he had been an employee, that's his employee, he'd been an employee for so long, he started to have some limitations that came up. He was like, you know what, Trudy, I don't know if I want to do this anymore. And I was like, no, whoa, hang on a minute. I'm not trying to, I'm not a dream stealer. I'm the opposite. I actually want people, help people create dreams, but I also know that, you really do need to consider all the facts. Information is knowledge. Knowledge is power. So make sure that you're real about the amount of money that you have set as your 22 financial goal and the action that you're going to take, but what else is required of you to actually do that? And is it, have you done some of your research? Are you aware of your target audience? Have you got a particular niche product or service? Just again, they're the very basics. We'd be going into a totally different course if I went on any longer. So that's just one little case study, and I wanted to share that with you because it's in my experience in the last 20 years of behavioural and business psychology, working for government, in government, on behalf of government, individuals, sole traders like myself, people that have a lot of employees. I often find that sometimes don't always take the time to sit down, one, to reflect on the past, and two, to actually have some really good plans in place about what you want and how you're going to get there, and be sure that it's just not pie in the sky stuff, that you actually do invest the time in being honest with what it's going to require for you to achieve that financial goal. In his case, he only wanted to work 20 hours a week. When I told him some of this, he said, well, you know what, I might do 40 hours one week and no hours the next week. And I said, well, 40 hours a week of having practically doing something. You were an engineer. You were sitting, behind an office. You were out on site sometimes. Do you have the physical capacity to be able to do that many? You're actually using your hands, your body. Are you able to do that? And he said, well, actually, no, I'm probably not. I might end up with an injury. So again, just be mindful of whatever your business is, in just looking after yourself at health and well-being, and not outlaying a lot of money before you're sure that you're going to go ahead with something. One of my quotes here, success requires focus, honest reflection, and action, and I really do believe that. So the worksheets you're going to fill in after you've filled in the sheet that we just talked about above is a goal breakdown example. So this is just an example. I typed in products because I have a lot of products. So this is sort of a little bit based on my sort of business. If this is not mine, this is an example, but this is what I'm basing it on. So might have 100 products at $97, 100 products at $197, 50 at $19.97. Services might have 50 client offers at that price, 8 at $13.97, and might do 50 affiliate collaborations where that's my cut. So that's how we would get to the 180,000 that we had at the top of the page. So what I want you to do is I want you to, over the page, now start to break down what are your products. You might want to list them just like that and add a times there. If you want to, if you don't have a lot, you could actually maybe list the exact product that you want to sell, but you probably do more of that in the goal setting, like basically a sales goal sheet, which we've got that on our website for free as well. It just actually says how many sales you're going to have each week. This one here, probably better at high level. For instance, I know that I have about 6 or 7 $97 online trainings at the moment. Probably another 3 or 4 will go up in the next couple of weeks. So I would know that all of my $97 trainings, I don't have to list them all here. But anyway, use it however you want. This is your products page. You list it all here, the different price points. You can then list your services here. And next page, you would list your other. Okay, so this might be if you're already working somewhere else and you're also running a side business, you might put your other here as well. So that's what you're going to do. You're going to follow the example above. You've got some notes here if there's anything specific. Any notes that you have, I would always suggest that you put in there action to take. It might be to revise your budget. It might be to, connect with people, to look at more collaborations and partnerships, get on some affiliates or whatever it might be. So make sure you've got an action to date. And really that's all that the worksheet's about with regards to the number side. And then what I've done is here, I've actually just written a few questions just to pose some questions to you. It's called How I Will. So it's basically saying, okay, that's up the top there is what you want, but then how are you going to achieve these goals? How will you? Are you going to have, marketing launch, email automation, lead magnet, websites, Facebook sales pages? What are you going to do? And again, high level stuff, make sure it's very succinct. You don't need to do long sentences, just some high level stuff, because this is really just identifying some numbers. You're then going to set up some goal worksheets instead that attach to this. This is just your high level stuff. And what are some areas that that will need addressing? Do you need a coach, a mentor, habits, routines, an accountant, time management, whatever? Remember, before you spend any money with people, please be sure that you're going to get value for money. Sometimes you're better off paying for one session with a mentor or a coach before you sign up to a whole 12 months and find out that you're not working together. Same with an accountant or whatever it might be. So what are some areas? Write them in. And then maybe you could actually be really clear about, your commitment. What are some things that you're going to introduce? Are you going to have a better routine? Are you going to sit down and actually track out and write down your goals? What are you going to do? Are you going to learn a new skill? Make sure that you've got a diary system or a schedule system or something in place. So really, that's all I wanted to share with you. We are this year looking at starting our online entrepreneur academy. We're going to be teaching a lot about digital products, online courses, setting up your YouTube, your podcast, your Shopify or e-commerce, setting up your Facebook groups and all those sorts of things. And so if you're interested in that, be sure to click on the link on your worksheet and just go onto a wait list, and we'll let you know, because we're going to be running a free webinar to talk a little bit about this. We're going to be actually introducing a whole range of experts on different topics. I'm not an expert in all of these topics, I can tell you right now. Definitely not with Facebook's ads and marketing, sales funnels, websites, e-commerce and email automation and social media and webinars. I'm not very good at time management, very good with goal setting and mindset, very good with the psychology that it needs. And also I've set up my own online courses, and my YouTube channel, my podcast. I set up my own Shopify, and I've been using Facebook groups for many, many years. So again, have a little look. I really would encourage you, if you can, to make sure that you get clear this year. The e-learning industry is a $500 billion, let's just say it's $1 trillion industry. Health and wellness is a huge industry, but e-learning, people want to learn something from you. You have a skill set. If you haven't had a chance, go onto my YouTube and find a 20-minute video called How to Find Your Passion and Develop Products. It's there. It's a little technique that I use with a lot of my clients on how to identify the set of skills that they have and maybe find ones that they're really passionate about. Everything that I do, it comes from I love it. I love everything that I do. I spent a lot of time doing things that I didn't love. I told myself I loved it, but there have been times in my life where I know for a fact I really should have moved on. I spent a lot of time in government. I absolutely loved it because I was supporting different people in the community. And since then, I've been able to work for myself and enjoy supporting people in different ways. So, when you love what you do, you actually don't work. And I know that there's a famous quote out there about that. So be sure to find something that you're passionate about, something that you love doing, something that's not a big task that you have to, jump out of bed like I do. I jump out of bed, and I really love sharing with you all of my skills and knowledge and experience, and I love learning from you all about your amazing skills, knowledge and experience. But just remember, someone out there needs something that you know, and I really hope that we can come on a journey together, and I can support you to get more of you out there in your online courses with your digital products, and getting into an arena where you can share more with your global community. So I look forward to hearing about some of your financial goals, and be sure to comment inside of our Facebook group or on the YouTube channel. And much love from me to you, and I look forward to sharing more with you on another topic soon. Bye for now.